Chosen one, listen carefully. Your ex teamed up with a dirty cop and a lawyer to bury you, and right now, all three of them are begging for mercy. Let that land for a second. Not one person came for you. Three did. A badge, a briefcase, and someone who used to hold your hand and whisper that they'd never hurt you. Nobody believed a person could sink that low. Three people, three positions that are supposed to mean something, a badge, a law license, a relationship, all three turned into weapons and pointed at one person, you. And for a while, it worked exactly the way they planned it. The badge opened doors that should have stayed shut. The briefcase signed papers that never should have existed. Your ex smiled through all of it, like nothing was happening, like you were imagining things, like you were the unstable one for noticing a pattern that was right in front of your face. But karma doesn't check credentials. It doesn't care about a badge number stitched onto a uniform or a name stamped on a law degree. It just watches, quietly, patiently. And it waited until all three of them got comfortable, until they stopped being careful, until they started believing their own story before it finally moved. Last week, it moved. Now the officer is suspended pending an internal review. The lawyer is sitting across from a bar complaint with his name at the top of it. And your ex, the one who started all of it, the one who picked up the phone and asked two people to help ruin you, is calling people they haven't spoken to in years, trying to find anyone left who still believes the story. Nobody does. Not anymore. Chosen one, hit that like button right now and subscribe if this is already sitting heavy in your chest, because you're about to watch exactly how far down these three go, one piece of evidence at a time. You already know how this began, even if you didn't have the words for it back then. You didn't see it coming because you weren't supposed to. That was the entire plan. Your ex needed muscle, so they found an officer willing to bend a report just enough that nobody would question it. Your ex needed paper, so they found a lawyer willing to file something that wasn't true, wrapped in language dense enough that most people would never read it twice. Three signatures. Three people who were supposed to protect something. A badge protects the public. A law license protects the truth in a courtroom. A relationship is supposed to protect the person you claim to love. Instead, all three of those things got turned into tools for one purpose: to make you look like the problem, so nobody would ask who actually started this. You felt it before you could prove it. That's the part that hurt the worst, chosen one. You knew something was wrong the moment that officer showed up somewhere he had no professional business being. You knew something was wrong when a piece of paperwork came back worded like it had been written by someone who wanted you to lose before you'd even opened your mouth to explain your side. You said it out loud once, to someone who didn't believe you. Why would three people go through all that trouble for someone like you? Nobody believed you. Not your friends. Not your family. Not the people who should have asked more questions instead of assuming a badge and a briefcase meant everything was above board. Here's what none of them understood when they built this together. A badge doesn't protect a lie forever. A law license doesn't make a false filing true just because it's written in legal language. And an ex who convinces two professionals to help take you apart isn't clever. They're just early to the fall that's coming for all three of them. Because everything they built together, every quiet phone call, every favor called in behind closed doors, every signature that shouldn't exist on paper, that was never supposed to be checked, none of it was actually hidden. It was just sitting there, waiting for someone with the right access and the right integrity to finally look. And chosen one, someone finally looked. Think about how it must have felt for them at the beginning. Chosen one, sitting together somewhere, maybe over coffee, maybe over a phone call, deciding this was the move. Three people agreeing that ruining you was worth the risk, that your reputation, your peace, your version of events, was worth less than whatever they each got out of the arrangement. Your ex got control of a story they couldn't win honestly. The officer got a favor he thought he'd never have to answer for. The lawyer got a client relationship he thought was worth bending a few facts to protect. Nobody in that conversation imagined this moment, the one where all three of them are sitting in separate rooms right now, answering separate questions, watching the story they built together fall apart in three different directions at once. That's the part that should sit with you tonight, chosen one. They had a plan for you. They never had a plan for what happens when the truth finally shows up on its own schedule instead of theirs. Number 1. The badge that started shaking first. Every scheme has a weak point, and in this one, it was the officer. He thought a badge made him untouchable, like the uniform itself was a kind of armor that nobody would ever think to check. He thought if he wore it long enough, did his rounds, showed up on time, nobody would ever look closely at the small things, the timestamps that didn't line up, the file numbers that were pulled and refiled, the reports that didn't match the dispatch log, sitting quietly in a system he forgot other people could access too. Imagine this, a filing cabinet nobody's opened in months, and one person, doing a routine audit, pulls a single folder that happens to have his name on it. They weren't looking for him, they were just doing their job. And there it was. Why does his report say he wasn't there when the camera timestamp says otherwise? That single question is what cracked the entire thing open. He thought your ex's gratitude, whatever that gratitude actually looked like behind closed doors, was worth the risk. It wasn't. Because the moment Internal Affairs pulled his file, every favor he'd done for your ex turned into evidence stacked against him instead of protection wrapped around him. Every text he thought he'd deleted turned into a screenshot somebody else had quietly saved for exactly this moment. He built his entire part of the plan on one assumption, that nobody checks a badge closely enough to catch a friend doing a friend a favor. Somebody always checks eventually. That's what a badge is supposed to mean in the first place. Accountability, not immunity. And now he's sitting across a table from people who don't care about his years of service. They care about his signature on a report that never should have existed, on a night he claims he wasn't there for reasons that don't match a single piece of hard evidence. He's not scared of losing his job anymore, chosen one. He's scared of what a falsified report with his name on it means for the rest of his life, long after this department stops being the biggest problem in his story. That fear didn't exist 3 weeks ago. It exists now, and you didn't create it. He did. The day he decided a favor for your ex mattered more than the oath he swore when he put that badge on in the first place. Think about how confident he was, standing in front of you back then, chosen one. Think about how he used that badge like a period at the end of every sentence, like it settled every argument before it even started. Who's going to believe you over me? That question used to work on you. It doesn't work on an internal review board, reading a timestamp that doesn't match a written report. Badges impress people who don't know how to check them. They mean nothing to people whose entire job is checking them for a living. And here's the part that should sit with you for a second. Other officers, the ones who actually take that oath seriously, the ones who show up and do the job honestly every single day, they're the ones who caught him. Not you, not some outside enemy of the department. His own people, doing exactly what a badge is supposed to mean. That's not the system failing you, chosen one. That's the system finally working the way it was always supposed to, catching the one person who forgot what the badge was for. Number 2. The paper trail the lawyer thought nobody would ever bother reading. Lawyers live on paper. They trust it completely, almost religiously, because paper can be worded carefully, filed quietly, buried underneath legal language dense enough that most people scroll past it without ever reading the actual dates written inside it. That's exactly why the lawyer felt safe helping your ex build this. He thought if the filing sounded technical enough, cold enough, official enough, Nobody would ever question the timeline sitting quietly underneath all that language. But timelines don't lie, chosen one, even when the language wrapped around them absolutely does. Someone finally sat down, calm, methodical, and read every date, every claim, every signature line against what had actually happened in real life, against message timestamps, against calendar entries, against things that can't be argued with because they're just facts, sitting there in black and white. This document says the 12th, but the messages say the 9th. A small gap, a massive problem. Once one date breaks under pressure, the whole filing starts to wobble, and wobbling paperwork gets noticed by exactly the people a lawyer never wants noticing it. A bar association that takes misrepresentation seriously. The kind of body that doesn't care how many years you've practiced or how many cases you've won. He thought he was untouchable because he understood the system better than you ever could. He forgot the system exists specifically to catch people who abuse it from the inside, not just people on the outside who don't understand how it works. Imagine a house built entirely out of paperwork, every wall a document, every foundation stone a filing. Now imagine someone pulling out just one sheet from the bottom, the one with the wrong date on it. The whole structure doesn't fall slowly, it falls all at once. That's what's happening to him right now. There's a formal complaint with his name attached to it, and complaints like that don't vanish just because the person who filed it wasn't a lawyer themselves. They disappear when the facts underneath them don't hold up. His facts don't hold up. Every hour he spends trying to explain away one bad date is another hour he's not spending convincing anyone that he genuinely didn't know what he was signing. Chosen one, he knew exactly what he was doing. That's the entire problem sitting on his desk right now, and no amount of legal language is going to argue it away. Here's what makes his fall different from an ordinary mistake. Lawyers get things wrong sometimes, everybody does. And a review board understands the difference between an honest error and a deliberate one. An honest error looks confused. A deliberate one looks organized, timed, worded just carefully enough to survive a first glance. His filing wasn't confused. It was engineered. And engineered lies leave a different kind of fingerprint than genuine mistakes do. A fingerprint made of intention. Why word it this way instead of just telling the truth? That's the question that follows him into every meeting now, and there's no clean answer to it, because the honest answer is the one he can never say out loud in front of the people reviewing his license. He spent years building a reputation on being the person who could make complicated things sound simple and safe. Now that same skill is being read backward, as proof he knew exactly how to make something false sound safe too. That's not talent working for him anymore, chosen one. That's talent being used as evidence against him. Number 3. The confidence that used to work like armor. Your ex used to walk into rooms like absolutely nothing could touch them. Chin up, voice steady, story rehearsed and ready. That confidence was never actually real. It was borrowed, propped up on one side by a badge that made the story sound credible, and propped up on the other side by a briefcase that made the paperwork look official. Take those two things away, one at a time, and what's left standing in the middle of the room is someone who has to explain their own story, alone, without any backup, without anyone else's name lending it weight. And the story doesn't hold together on its own. It never actually did. It only ever worked because two other people were willing to make it sound official for them. Now the officer isn't answering calls. Now the lawyer isn't returning messages. Not from your ex anyway. Not anymore. And your ex is standing there completely alone for the first time in this entire plan, slowly realizing that the two people who made the lie sound true are far too busy trying to save themselves to spend another minute saving the story they all built together. They said this would work. It didn't work. It just took longer to fail than any of them expected it to, and watching someone's confidence collapse in real time someone who spent months walking around acting untouchable. That's not satisfying because you wanted revenge, chosen one. It's satisfying because it's honest. For the first time since this whole thing started, your ex is standing in the plain truth, instead of hiding safely behind two other people who agreed to lie for them when it was convenient. You remember the version of your ex who never apologized for anything, who twisted every conversation until somehow you were the one saying sorry by the end of it. That version needed an audience to survive, needed the badge in the room, needed the paperwork on the table, needed somebody official sounding backing up the story so nobody would think to question it out loud. Take the audience away and watch what happens. It's not what it looks like. That line used to work because two other people were nodding along beside them when they said it. Now, it just hangs there in an empty room, unconvincing, because the officer isn't standing next to them anymore and the lawyer stopped taking their calls weeks ago. Confidence built on other people's cooperation isn't confidence at all, chosen one. It's dependency wearing a calmer face. And dependency doesn't survive the moment the people you depended on start looking out for themselves instead of you. Number 4. The person who noticed what everyone else chose to ignore. There's always someone, chosen one, somewhere in the machinery of a system, with enough distance to see clearly, enough position to actually be heard when they speak up, and enough integrity to say something instead of quietly looking the other way like it's easier. That person wasn't looking for you specifically. They didn't know your name when they started. They were simply doing their job, reviewing a file that crossed their desk, checking a report the way reports are supposed to be checked, reading a filing line by line the way filings are supposed to be read, and somewhere in that routine, unglamorous work, they noticed something that didn't add up. Not because they knew you personally, not because they owed you anything at all, just because the truth was sitting right there in the paperwork the entire time, patient, waiting for someone honest enough to finally read it properly instead of rubber stamping it and moving on to the next file. Something about this doesn't sit right. That one quiet sentence, said to nobody in particular, in an office you'll never see, is what started unraveling all three of them at once. Not a dramatic confrontation, not a viral post, not a public showdown. One person, doing their actual job correctly, for once in this entire story, noticing what three people spent months hoping nobody would ever bother to notice. Chosen one, if you're feeling this story settle in your chest right now, drop a 77 in the comments so I know you're still here with me for what's coming next, because this is only the beginning of how far this goes. And if this message means something real to you tonight, the super thanks button helps keep messages like this one reaching people who need to hear that the truth still catches up, eventually, no matter how many people conspire to bury it together. Imagine this for a second, chosen one. A quiet office, fluorescent lights, a stack of files nobody wants to review on a Friday afternoon. One person picks up a folder they weren't even required to look at that closely, just because something about the paper thickness felt slightly off. One page stapled a little differently than the rest. They almost put it back down. They didn't. That single small decision to look one page further instead of closing the folder is the thread that eventually pulled all three of these people into the same investigation. Nobody planned that moment. Nobody could have. It wasn't fate in some mystical sense, chosen one. It was just what happens when enough time passes and enough honest people keep doing their jobs the way they're supposed to. You didn't need a miracle. You needed time, and one person willing to read one extra page. You got both. Number 5. The messages nobody thought would ever surface. Every conspiracy leaves a trail somewhere, because people who plan things together have to talk to each other, and people who talk to each other leave records, texts, emails, call logs, the small digital footprints they assume will stay buried in their phones forever. Private, deletable, safe. Your ex assumed those conversations would stay private forever. The officer assumed his phone was strictly his own business, protected by some invisible line nobody would ever cross. The lawyer assumed a client's messages stayed protected no matter what was actually said inside them, forgetting that protection has limits when the messages themselves describe wrongdoing. None of them accounted for what happens once an investigation starts pulling threads that connect all three of their names inside the very same conversation thread. Can you make sure this doesn't come back on me? That's the kind of sentence that ends careers when it shows up printed inside an official file, instead of staying buried inside a private phone nobody was ever supposed to open. Every message they sent, trying to cover their tracks, became another brick stacked in the case, slowly building against them. They weren't hiding evidence, chosen one. They were writing it, in real time, one text at a time, thinking nobody would ever read it back to them, out loud, in a room where it actually mattered. Delete this after you read it. Somebody didn't. That's the whole story in one line, chosen one. Every conspiracy depends on everyone involved following the same unspoken rule. Keep it quiet, keep it clean, keep it deniable. All it takes is one person forgetting to hit delete. One phone that gets backed up automatically to a cloud account nobody thought about. One screenshot taken out of habit before a message disappears. 3 people trusted each other to be careful. People under pressure are rarely careful, and pressure was the one thing all 3 of them had in common the moment they realized this was bigger than a favor between friends. The messages that were supposed to protect their arrangement ended up being the clearest window into exactly how deliberate it all was. Not confused people making an honest mistake together. 3 people coordinating, in writing, step by step. Number 6. The moment the officer stopped protecting the lawyer. When people build a scheme together, they promise each other loyalty right up until the exact moment loyalty starts costing something real. The officer's loyalty lasted exactly as long as his own job wasn't the thing on the line. The second internal affairs sat him down across a table and asked him direct questions. The story he told stopped protecting your ex, stopped protecting the lawyer, and started protecting only himself. I only did what I was told. That's not loyalty, chosen one. That's survival, kicking in the moment things get real. And survival mode doesn't care who it exposes on the way out the door. Every detail he gave up trying to save his own record became another piece pointing directly at the lawyer's filing and directly back at your ex's original request that started this whole mess in the first place. He thought the 3 of them were a team. Turns out, a team built entirely on covering something up isn't actually a team at all. It's just 3 people standing close together, right up until the moment one of them decides it's safer to stand alone. Ask yourself why he flipped so fast, chosen one. It's not because he suddenly grew a conscience in an interview room. It's because a badge comes with a pension, a record, a career he actually built for real before he decided to risk it on a favor. Everything he actually valued was suddenly on the table, and none of it was worth protecting a lawyer he barely knew personally, or an ex he only helped because somebody asked nicely and made it sound small. It was just one report that connects 3 names, 3 timelines, and 1 target. The moment he understood how big this actually looked from the outside, he stopped calculating loyalty and started calculating exposure. That's not a villain twist, chosen one. That's just what happens when people build alliances out of convenience instead of actual trust. Convenience holds up fine when nothing's at stake. It collapses instantly the second something is. Picture the 2 of them, the officer and your ex, in the early days of this arrangement, when everything still felt manageable, low risk, easy to walk back if it ever needed walking back. That confidence came from underestimating exactly how thorough an internal review can be once it actually starts. They weren't reckless people by nature, chosen one. They were people who genuinely believed the odds of getting caught were low enough to justify the risk. The math only works if nobody ever looks. The moment somebody looked, the math flipped completely, and everything that felt manageable before suddenly felt like the biggest mistake either of them had ever made in their careers. Number 7. The lawyer's silence that said more than any words could. A good lawyer usually knows exactly what to say in almost every situation, except this one. When the bar complaint landed on his desk, when the filing came under formal review, when his own name started appearing next to words like misconduct and misrepresentation in official correspondence, he went quiet. Not thoughtful quiet, trapped quiet. The kind of silence that happens when every possible explanation available to him only makes things worse instead of better. He couldn't say he didn't know the timeline was false, because his own messages prove he knew it down to the day. He couldn't say your ex misled him into it, because the arrangement was every bit as much his idea as anyone else's from the start. Every sentence he could have said only dug the hole a little deeper, so he said nothing, and silence from a lawyer facing formal review reads exactly one way to everyone watching. It reads like guilt he isn't ready to spell out loud yet, even to himself. Imagine sitting across from someone whose entire career was built on having the right words ready for every situation and watching them come up empty. That's what people close to him are seeing right now, chosen one. The confident tone is gone. The reassuring phrases are gone. What's left is someone reading his own filing back to himself late at night, looking for a version of the story where his intentions sound better than they actually were, and not finding one. Surely there's an angle here. There isn't. Not when the dates don't move, no matter how many times you read them. Not when the message is exactly as they were sent. A lawyer's whole skill set is built around finding the angle nobody else sees. His silence right now isn't strategy, chosen one. It's the sound of someone finally admitting to himself that this time there isn't one. Number 8. The rooms your ex isn't allowed into anymore. There were rooms your ex used to walk into with total, unshakable confidence, certain nobody would question them because the paperwork looked official enough and the officer's name gave the whole story extra weight it never actually deserved. Those rooms don't open the same way for them anymore. People who once nodded along without a second thought are asking harder questions now. People who once accepted the story at face value are asking to see the actual dates, the actual documents, the actual timeline laid out side by side, instead of taking anyone's word for it. Your ex built an entire identity on being the reasonable one, the wronged one, the one everyone should simply believe without pushing back or asking uncomfortable questions. That identity only survives as long as nobody looks closely enough to see the cracks running through it. Everybody is looking closely now, chosen one, and there's no badge or briefcase left standing between your ex and the questions finally catching up to them. There's a particular kind of silence that follows someone into a room once people stop automatically believing them, chosen one, and your ex is learning that silence right now for the first time. People still let them in the room. They just don't nod along anymore. They watch. They wait. They compare what's being said tonight to what was said last month. And last month's story doesn't quite match this month's version. Not anymore. Not once the paperwork stopped matching the performance. Why does the story keep changing? People are finally asking that question out loud, instead of quietly wondering it to themselves in the car on the way home. That shift, from silent doubt to spoken doubt, is the exact moment a reputation built on confidence instead of consistency starts to come apart at the seams. There's a particular room your ex used to walk into every week, chosen one, a place full of people who respected them, trusted them, took their side automatically in almost every disagreement. That room has gone quiet in a very specific way. People still show up. They still say hello. But nobody's rushing to sit next to your ex anymore the way they used to. And nobody's laughing quite as easily at whatever story gets told. Did you hear what actually happened? That question is being whispered in every corner of that room now. And whispered questions travel faster than any of the confident announcements your ex used to make. The room hasn't turned against them completely yet, chosen one, but it's stopped being safe ground. And for someone who built their entire sense of power on being unquestionably believed in every room they entered, losing even one of those rooms changes everything about how the rest of the fall feels. Number 9. The favor that finally came due. People like the officer don't hand out favors for free. Not really, not deep down. Somewhere inside that arrangement, there was an unspoken understanding. Help me now, and I'll make it worth your while later. But later never arrived the way he expected it to. Later arrived instead in the form of a formal investigation that doesn't care one bit about any private arrangement he had going with your ex. It only cares about what actually happened, and what actually happened was a falsified report tied directly to a personal favor for someone he wasn't even supposed to be that personally close to, sitting right there in a professional file with his signature on it. This was supposed to stay quiet. Nothing built entirely on a lie stays quiet forever, chosen one. It just stays quiet right up until somebody finally bothers to check. Picture the exact moment he realized the favor wasn't staying contained, chosen one. Not a dramatic scene, no shouting, just a phone call from someone inside his own department asking him to come in and explain a discrepancy. That's it. That's the whole horror movie for someone who spent his career believing his badge made him the one who asks the questions, never the one who has to answer them. This is routine, right? Nothing to worry about? It wasn't routine. Routine doesn't come with a formal notice and a request to bring documentation. He knew within the first 5 minutes of that meeting exactly how much trouble the favor had actually cost him, and by then there was no version of the conversation where explaining it away was still an option. There's a specific kind of quiet that fills a room once someone realizes the favor they did isn't staying between friends anymore, chosen one. It's the quiet of somebody replaying every conversation they had about it, wondering which sentence is going to come back, worded worse than they remember saying it. He thought he was helping someone he cared about handle a difficult situation. That's the story he told himself at the time. The file in front of the review board tells a different story, one with no room left for good intentions, because good intentions don't file false reports. Decisions do, and he made his with his eyes wide open. Number 10. The lawyer begging the one person who might still be able to help him. When the complaint moved forward officially, the lawyer didn't reach out to your ex for help. He reached out to colleagues instead, to anyone with any influence over the review process, hoping someone would vouch for his character even after the paperwork had already spoken clearly for itself. You know me, I wouldn't do something like this. Except he did, chosen one. The dates prove it beyond argument. The messages prove it in his own words. And character references from old colleagues don't erase a filing that flatly doesn't match reality, no matter how many people are willing to say kind things about him. He's begging now, quietly, professionally, carefully, the exact way people beg when they still believe politeness alone might be enough to save them. It won't be. Not this time, not with everything already sitting in the file. There's something almost quiet about how a professional falls apart, chosen one, compared to how everyone imagines it happening. No dramatic scene, no public breakdown, just a string of carefully worded emails to old colleagues, each one a little more desperate than the last, each one asking for a favor that used to be easy to grant and suddenly isn't. I'd really appreciate you putting in a word. People who once answered him within the hour are taking days now, or not answering at all, because nobody wants their own name sitting anywhere near this review once it's finalized. He's finding out in real time exactly how many of his professional relationships were built on his usefulness rather than genuine respect, and the answer is showing up in his inbox as silence, one unanswered email at a time. Number 11. The officer's apology that came far too late to matter. He finally reached out, not to you, but to his own department, hoping an early admission might soften whatever consequence is already coming his way. I made a mistake. I take full responsibility. That sentence might have actually meant something months ago, before the filing, before the false report, before he decided a friend's request outweighed the oath he swore the day he put that badge on for the very first time. Now it just reads like someone trying to get ahead of consequences he already knew, deep down, were coming for him regardless. Responsibility taken only after you've already been caught isn't really responsibility at all, chosen one. It's damage control dressed up in humble language. Everyone reviewing his file can tell the difference immediately, and so can you. Think about the timing of that apology for a second, chosen one, because timing tells you almost everything about whether someone actually means what they're saying. He didn't reach out the week it happened. He didn't reach out when you first noticed the pattern and said something. He reached out the exact week the investigation became impossible to avoid. I've been meaning to say something for a while. That's not true, and everyone reading his statement knows it isn't true, because the timeline of his sudden conscience lines up perfectly with the timeline of him getting caught, not one day before it. Real responsibility shows up before consequences do. What he's offering now is a performance of responsibility, timed for an audience that's already stopped believing his performances mean anything. Number 12. Your ex reaching out to you, of all people, after everything. This is the part that would have completely broken you a year ago, and now it barely moves you at all. Your ex reached out. Not to apologize for what actually happened, not to admit what they did, but to ask if you'd let it go, now that things are apparently getting complicated for everyone involved. We don't need to make this bigger than it already is. It was already big, chosen one. It was big, the exact day 3 people sat down together and decided your life was something they could quietly manipulate for their own convenience. You don't owe them a smaller, more comfortable story just because the big true one is finally catching up to all 3 of them at once. You didn't make it big. They did. The moment they brought a badge and a briefcase into something that should have stayed between 2 people, if it ever should have existed at all in the first place. Notice what your ex didn't say in that message, chosen one. No apology for the false report. No mention of the filing, no acknowledgement of what any of it actually cost you. The sleepless nights, the moments you second-guessed your own memory because 2 official-looking documents said otherwise. Just a request to make their current problems smaller and quieter. Can we just move past this? You spent months being told to move past things that were actively happening to you. Now that the consequences are finally landing somewhere other than on you, suddenly moving past it sounds urgent and reasonable to the person who orchestrated it. You get to decide what you owe them, chosen one, and the honest answer is nothing. Not comfort, not silence, not a smaller story to help them sleep better tonight. Think about how easy it would have been for your ex to reach out with an actual apology, chosen one. One honest sentence, no excuses attached. They didn't choose that sentence. They chose a request instead, because even now, standing in the middle of consequences they built with their own 2 hands, the instinct is still to manage you rather than face what they did to you. I just need this to calm down. Notice the word choice, chosen one. Not I'm sorry, not I was wrong. Just a wish for the discomfort to end, as though the discomfort is the actual problem, instead of the 3 years, the false report, and the filing that started all of it. That single message tells you everything about whether the person on the other end has actually changed, or whether they've simply run out of room to keep pretending nothing happened. Number 13. The people who once defended all three of them, gone completely quiet now. Friends who used to vouch for your ex are distancing themselves fast, unfollowing, going silent, pretending they were never that close to begin with. Colleagues who trusted the officer's word without question are quietly reconsidering every single case he's ever touched, wondering how far back this pattern actually goes. Clients who respected the lawyer are calmly, discreetly finding new representation elsewhere without making a scene about why. None of them are saying much publicly about any of it. They don't have to. Their silence now is the exact opposite of the silence that used to protect these three people. Before, staying quiet protected the wrongdoers, gave them room to operate without consequence. Now, staying quiet protects everyone else from being associated with them at all. Imagine being one of those friends right now, chosen one, quietly scrolling back through old messages where you defended your ex to someone else, where you told a mutual friend the officer seemed like a stand-up guy, where you recommended the lawyer to somebody in your own family. That's the position a lot of people are sitting in right now, not guilty of what the three of them did, but uncomfortable with how confidently they vouched for people who turned out to be capable of this. I had no idea it went this far. But not knowing the full extent doesn't erase the discomfort of having stood beside them publicly for as long as they did. That discomfort is exactly why they've gone quiet. Chosen one, not out of loyalty to you, but out of self-preservation now that loyalty to the three of them has stopped paying off. Number 14. Imagine this, chosen one. Three people standing in a room they built together, thinking the walls were solid, thinking the foundation would hold forever. And one by one, each of them starts noticing the same crack running up the same wall. The crack none of them made alone. The crack that only appeared because all three of them stood in the same spot too long, trusting each other more than they trusted the truth to stay buried. That's exactly where they are right now. Not united, not protecting each other anymore. Just three separate people, standing in the same collapsing room, each one quietly hoping the ceiling falls on someone else first. The officer is blaming the arrangement. The lawyer is blaming the pressure he felt to help a client he respected. Your ex is blaming everyone except the person who actually picked up the phone and started this whole thing rolling in the first place. Nobody in that room is telling the same story anymore, chosen one. And that's exactly what happens when a scheme built on trust between wrongdoers finally runs out of runway. The very thing that let them coordinate in silence, mutual protection, mutual risk, mutual reward, becomes the very thing tearing them apart the second any real consequence shows up at the door. There's a strange kind of justice in watching people who built something on secrecy lose the ability to keep secrets from each other. Chosen one. The officer is quietly wondering what the lawyer already told investigators about him. The lawyer is quietly wondering what the officer already admitted to protect his pension. Your ex is wondering what both of them are saying about whose idea this actually was in the first place. Everyone's just trying to save themselves now. Exactly. That's what happens when the only thing holding three people together was the assumption that none of them would ever get caught. Take that assumption away, and you're left with three individuals who never actually trusted each other, they just needed each other. And needing someone is a much weaker bond than trusting them the moment things get difficult. Number 15. What happens when three people who abused positions of trust finally have to answer for it? This was never about revenge, chosen one, and it never needed to be. Revenge is loud, messy, and it needs you to actively do something to make it happen. This didn't need you to do a single thing. You stayed steady. You told the truth, calmly and consistently, to the people who would eventually be in a position to actually listen. And three people who genuinely believed their positions made them untouchable are learning, slowly and painfully, that a badge, a law license, and a relationship don't protect anyone from the truth once someone honest finally sits down and checks the paperwork properly. The officer is answering to his own department now. The lawyer is answering to the Bar Association, reviewing his conduct. Your ex is answering to a story that no longer has anyone left willing to help hold it up in public. None of that happened because you fought back, chosen one. It happened because the truth was always sitting there quietly, patient, waiting for the right people, doing their actual jobs, to finally read it properly and let 3 people who thought they were above ever being checked learn, all at once, that they never were. Think about what actually protected you through all of this, chosen one, because it wasn't luck and it wasn't some dramatic move on your part. It was the fact that most people inside these systems, the department, the Bar Association, the people reviewing files every single day, actually take their jobs seriously most of the time. 3 people gambled on finding the exceptions. They found honest people instead. The system is rigged, is what people say when they haven't watched a badge get suspended or a license get formally reviewed for exactly the kind of misconduct that happened here. The system worked slowly, the way it usually does, but it worked. And that's worth remembering the next time something feels unfair and impossible to survive, chosen one. It usually isn't permanent, it's just early. Number 16. The moment all 3 of them finally understood, nobody was coming to save them. There's a specific point in a fall like this where denial stops working, chosen one, where the phone calls stop getting returned, where the character references dry up, where every person who once benefited from being close to the 3 of them quietly decides the relationship isn't worth the risk anymore. That point arrived for all 3 of them within the same stretch of days, almost like the universe wanted them to feel it happen together, the same way they'd planned everything together. The officer sat through a final review, knowing his own department wasn't going to protect him this time, not after everything the file showed. The lawyer got word that the complaint was moving forward to a formal hearing, the kind that ends careers rather than just embarrassing them for a while. And your ex, the one who started this entire plan with 1 phone call and 1 favor, finally ran out of people left to call. Imagine that phone, chosen one, sitting there, contacts scrolling past, name after name, each one either not answering or answering just long enough to say they'd rather not get involved. I can't help you with this one. That sentence came from almost everyone your ex used to lean on. Not because those people suddenly discovered morals overnight, but because proximity to this particular mess had become too expensive to justify. Begging works when the person you're begging still has something to lose by refusing you. Nobody in that room had anything left to lose by walking away from all 3 of them. And that's exactly why the mercy they're all asking for now isn't coming, chosen one. Mercy requires someone with the power to grant it. The people with that power already made their decision, and it wasn't in their favor. So here's where we land tonight, chosen one. 3 people built something together they genuinely believed would never be checked. A badge that could bend a single report, a license that could file 1 convenient lie, and a relationship that used to mean something real before it got twisted into a weapon aimed at you. All 3 of them assumed their position would protect them completely. None of it did, because positions don't actually protect people from the truth. Chosen one, they just make the fall louder and more public once it finally comes for them. You didn't have to expose a single piece of it yourself. You just had to survive long enough to watch people whose entire job is honesty finally do that job correctly, and let 3 people who thought they were above being checked learn, all at the same time, that they never were untouchable at all. Remember every night you laid awake wondering if you'd imagined the whole thing, wondering if maybe you really were the problem the way they kept insisting. You weren't imagining anything. You were watching 3 people build a case against themselves in real time, one favor, one filing, one text message at a time, and you were simply the only person who couldn't see the ending yet. Everyone else involved can see it now. The officer sees it in the paperwork stacked on a desk that isn't his anymore to control. The lawyer sees it in a bar complaint that doesn't care how many years he's practiced. Your ex sees it every time someone they used to count on stops answering the phone. None of this required you to be loud, chosen one. It never does. The people who scream the loudest about being wronged are usually the ones with the weakest case, because truth doesn't need volume, it just needs time and one honest person willing to look. You had both eventually, and that was always going to be enough. And maybe the most important part of tonight's message isn't even about the three of them anymore, chosen one. It's about you, and what you do with the part of you that spent months doubting your own memory because two official-looking signatures said otherwise. Trust that instinct a little more from here forward. Trust the version of you that noticed something was wrong before you had a single piece of proof to back it up. That instinct was right the entire time. It just needed the world to catch up to it. Every doubt they planted in you, every moment they made you question your own memory of what actually happened, none of that was ever the truth speaking. It was three people hoping you'd talk yourself out of trusting what you already knew. If this message hit something real in you tonight, drop that 77 in the comments right now, so every other chosen one watching knows the truth still finds its way through, no matter how many people try to bury it together behind badges and briefcases and empty promises. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with anyone in your life who needs to hear tonight that karma doesn't need your help to do its job. It just needs a little time and the right person willing to finally check the paperwork. Thanks for watching, chosen ones. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves and goodbye.